6 March 2021, and I'm joined by 4 guests today. Senator Khalipani Pugeni, who is my regular guest, Mr. Isaac Mchengwa, and Mr. Eugene Brand. How are you, gents?
I'm fine, thanks. And yourself?
Very well, thanks.
I am all right, Mr. Gambakwe. It's Mchegwa.
Oh, Mr. Mchegwa, sorry about that.
Yes, I'm Uncle Roland's young brother.
All right. Good evening, Gambakwe, and your listeners, wherever they may be, and to the other panelists. We are actually 3, it's not 4, Gambakwe. You are the 4th one.
Okay, yeah. All right. So let's quickly get into this discussion. And I want us to go through what has been happening this week. In Zimbabwe, the vice president was forced to resign after a number of audios were leaked. And I want to start with you, Senator Khalipani Pugeni. Do you think the vice president of Zimbabwe, Mr. Kembo Mohadi, was treated fairly when all this came out?
Well, you know, the pitfalls of politics is that you are forced, someone like me, to comment on matters that ordinarily I wouldn't comment on, because Kembo Mohadi is my father. You know, intents and purposes, the man is old enough to be my father. So ordinarily in our culture, we wouldn't comment about such matters, but being a politician, I'm forced to comment. I think the third thing which happened is that from a legal point of view, I think he is innocent until proven otherwise. But to answer your question direct, he was treated fairly in the sense that he was given, at least publicly, he was given the space to resign without necessarily being humiliated. Of course, if I was part of his team, if I'm to go with what he said in his resignation letter, because in his resignation letter, he actually said the voices which we heard were not his voice. And all those things were actually a political ploy against him. People cloned his voice. And so if you read his letter, it seems to suggest that there is no security person in his office whom he was involved with, whom the husband came to fight with him. All of that is political machinations, according to him. So if I was part of his team, I would have then said to him, then don't resign, rather apply for leave of absence, take a leave of absence so that you can clear your name, because I don't understand from my point of view why you would resign to clear your name. You clear your name by taking a leave of absence, but he has resigned now. I am not even sure if everything which he promised in that resignation letter will take its course. And you can see that everything was political, because there isn't even a threat of any legal action against him. It's him who said he will take legal action. I don't know against who, because he has since thanked HE. He has since spoken well of his party. He apologized to his party, whom he said have felt pain like him. So I'm not sure who his political enemies would have been. I don't think the West, as in the Western countries, would be his political enemies. If they would go after the administration, they will obviously go for HE, and most likely his court deputy, which was his previous court deputy, which would have been the general, because of his background, where he comes from, the general, and of course HE being the head of the administration. So it can't be, with all due respect, it can't be NC. NC doesn't have that capacity. He's a brilliant young man, but he doesn't have the capacity to pull what the former VP is claiming. So clearly, if you are to listen to what he said and take it in the spirit which he said it, then, or rather to take it to its logical conclusion, then you can conclude that his enemies are within the state security apparatus, because no one else has the capacity except there in his party and in the governing structure of the country.
Okay, Senator Khalipani Phugeni, I think it's clear. Let's move clockwise and go to Eugene. Eugene, is it normal for a person like a vice president to easily resign after such a revelation of a private nature? Is that normal? Is that the right thing to do?
Well, my take on it, the accusation is not just a simple accusation. It's a very serious matter. But to resign, there's two ways to look at it. Firstly, he's a public figure. That means he answers to the public. He's a vice president. I strongly believe that he had to rather take leave, and I agree with Khalipani there. I would take leave, let the investigation take place to clear. And as a public figure, the public needs to know whether the case against him is true or false. He made a statement stating it's not his voice. So the way I see it, he is saying that he's innocent. On the other hand, to clear this matter, you have a court. I strongly believe everything must go through the court when you hold office in government. I'm a strong believer in that because the public has put you there. Therefore, you need to let the public judge you whether you're guilty or not. And in the case like this, as mentioned by Khalipani, he's innocent till proven guilty. My concern for me is that why resign? It doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. The only thing I can come to is that there was pressure within inside to resign, because this doesn't go well within party structures that you putting the party in a bad light. So that's one way to look at it. If there is other third forces involved, that's very difficult for me to make a comment on. The bottom line is two areas. One, and the two areas, and this is factual. It's in this open space. It needs to go to court to clear his name. And my take is, I would rather ask to be on special leave while this matter has been picked up, but not to resign. I mean, he's the vice president. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Now let's go to Isaac. Isaac, I want to ask you specifically about how these recordings were acquired. What's your view? How do you think Kembo Mohadi was recorded?
From what I gathered through what I've been reading, it appears that the one of the CIO who was a husband to one of the women alleged to have had an affair with the vice president was an aggrieved party who used their power and maybe with their sympathizers to persuade the minister Muda Owen Ncube to get the authorization maybe to wiretape them or record whatever was happening, and then expose the vice president, alleging that he was putting the government into disrepute by his actions. But I don't know whether it is true that these things actually transpired, or whether his voice was actually cloned as alleged. But the resignation itself, in my view, it's like an admission of guilt. It's like an admission of guilt, just like Senator Kalipane had said that if he was not guilty of the alleged offense, he probably should have sought to take a leave of absence from his job for some time to get that cleared, and then resume his duties once it has been facts has been established that he was indeed innocent or guilty after the matter. So I think the way it was done was that the CIO, from what I read, was that the CIO, one of the husbands of the person of the wife who was women who was said to be involved in the matter, was said to be involved in the recording of whatever was happening, maybe setting up the recording so that whatever was the communications, they can be traced and then shared with the relevant authorities. But in any case, Zimbabwe is a very small country. We don't need two vice presidents. It is a waste of our resources. That money that he was paid as the vice president's office should now be dispensed to other developmental projects for the country, rather than bothering to replace that vice president. If Mnangagwa is worried about their unity agreement or unity accord, whatever it is called, he should just appoint somebody from ZAP, and then he will represent the ZANU-PF, and the other vice president from ZAP will then take over and represent that agreement. If he thinks that agreement is worth the water, then he will do it that way, and that will save the country a lot of money, rather than having two vice presidents whose functions we are not quite clear. That's my opinion.
I think that is a very good point, and I want to move to Senator Kalipane Pugeni. Do you think Kembo Mohadi should be replaced, or should we continue with one vice president? And if he is to be replaced, who do you think should go in there?
Well, I think the conundrum here is that is the ZAPU element, or rather, he was from the ZAPU element of the Unity Accord. So if it was another way around, say if it was the general, I would have said, no, you don't have to replace, because Zimbabwe is easy on these things of and whatever. You've got China, I think their population is on 1 billion something. And they've only got one leader and a deputy. You've got America, I think it's over 350 million citizens there. You've got a president and a deputy. You've got South Africa here, that has got 60 million people. And you've got a president and a deputy. You've got the ANC, that's got a membership of 1.5 million people, and they've got a president and a deputy. In Zimbabwe, you've got a party, I think, that has got 3 deputy presidents. Then the ruling party and the one and the other one, which and then the opposition again, which I belong to, has got 2 now vice presidents. It's crazy, if you ask me. You really can't be. It's almost creating jobs for pals. But with ZANU, at least you can understand they've got that unity accord which they must honor. Although it was crazy to then have a vice president again then coming from ZANU, because it would have made sense to simply say, okay, ZAPU, you are coming in at a small faction, you will always be vice president, and you must be content with that, and will always provide the president. But to then provide the president and then provide a vice president and then have another person come in and call them a vice president, when we know very well that they're just their ceremonial is just not right. So if you ask me, outside the Unity Accord, You don't need a second vice president. But because they have that unity accord, it's an agreement, and agreements have to be honored. If they are not honored, it sets a very bad precedent. So they have to be honored. But I want to go back to what Isaac said. I did not say that if he was innocent, he shouldn't have resigned. I might have inferred it, but I did not say that. But I must say this to your point, maybe.
Okay.
Baba Moati is a former minister of security, of state security. So he would have known, yes, he would have known that his calls are recorded. That's number one. He would have known that those ladies there that work there, they are all part of the CIO. I know that. I've never worked for a government. I've never worked for the government except now that I'm in parliament. But I know that my calls are listened to. I know that. So for him, he really would have known all of this. Now, this is where I'm really, really confused. Because if he does not go ahead and prove to us, indeed, as he has claimed, that those were cloned voices, I'm going to have big problems. Because if indeed that was his voice, with what he should have known or what he did indeed know, then he was extremely careless, especially for the office he held now as a vice president. You can't call women on an unsecured line and do the type of things that he did. Never mind that he should have never involved himself in those things in the first place. But since he claims that that's not his voice, that he never did any of those things, that there is no CIO who had a wife whom he had liaisons with, which were not so good liaisons. So let's just take his word for it. But I just hope that, as he has promised us, he's going to go to court and start poking holes in what forced him to resign.
Okay, so let us wrap up. If we were to replace Kembo Mohadi with someone from Matabeleland, who would be the best person to represent the people of Matabeleland?
Yeah, you see, the challenge is the Unity Accord said ZAPU. I don't think it said Matabeleland. I think it's ZAPU. I'm not sure. I haven't gone through the Unity Accord, so I tend to be corrected. But this is what I'll say quickly. Come back so that I give other opportunity. My money is on PV, Sibanda, the general. That's where my money is on. I know that the HE is from Midlands, he's also from Midlands, but if we're to get value, if we're to get value really from the Unity Accord, and if my input has anything to do with it, please give us PVC Sibanda.
Okay, how would that work? To have two soldiers. I know he's from my Midlands, but now we have two former heads of the Zimbabwe military. And I want to take this to Eugene. Would it make sense to have two former military commanders of the defense forces as vice presidents?
Not healthy. Not healthy. I wouldn't want two military people in there. But let me just go back to this unity movement. I don't know much about what the processes are, but I think what they must do is to follow their process, their constitution, to make sure that they then select the right person based on the agreements that are in place when they started to elect the people. It's the same like any other organization or party. You're governed by your processes, your constitution. Otherwise, we're going to have the same issue like we've been having always in Zimbabwe. We pick people we like, and we don't follow the right protocol. So I just hope they do follow the right protocol. But my opinion, I'm not too happy to have two military people in there. I'm a very democratic person, and I believe the ordinary people must have a voice. Military people make me a little bit nervous. Let me just put it that way. I'm a bit not too kosher about that.
Okay, so Senator Pugeni, let's say we have the two military people as vice presidents. Is that not going to threaten the president?
Well, look, I appreciate what Eugene is saying, but I want you to take judicial notice that we are under a military government. And remember, on the 7th, 2017, the military brought its tank in the capital. And they told us that they are intervening because they are not happy with the direction that the politics of the country is taking. So never mind what you see, but we are under a military government. And personally, I'm talking personal, really. This is not scientific in any shape or form. I don't think we got anything from the former vice president that we can take to the shops or to the bank. My motivation for PV is that he's a military man. He is going to be disciplined, and he works with facts. When you military bring facts, they can deal with them. The region, if I'm to go back to Kambawe, Matebeleland, is extremely underdeveloped. All these the benefits or the gains of freedom, there's nothing to speak about. You are from Matebe and Kambako, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Once you leave Bulawayo, in fact, Bulawayo itself is pothole infested. Once you try to go Victoria Falls, you can try to go to Bait Bridge, the only better road is to Harare. Every other road, Cholocho and whatsoever, those are death traps. So if he's coming from Zapu, which was predominantly in Matebele and going to Midlands, we'll be able to go to him and say, VP, can you please do something? Because this is untenable.
Okay. I think let's give Isaac a chance to go in here on the question of two military deputies. What is your opinion, Isaac?
Well, indeed, we are under military government. As long as the military people are disciplined people, it's not really a bad thing to have a military government. Military people are generally disciplined. They follow the protocols of the chain of command. So as long as they give the chance, if they want to do it that way, give the chance to somebody who is lower in the rank to Chiwenga, so that there won't be any competition of some kind, or at the same level with Chiwenga, so that they can say they are in the same rank. If they want to take someone from Zapu, if they are following the Unity Accord, then they can say, let's take somebody who has got the same sort of qualification, as it were, as Chiwenga, but somebody who would bring some value, somebody who add value to the government, so that the also please the taxpayer, please the majority of the Zimbabweans, so that at least somebody who's bringing value, not just a placeholder who's going to be useless in the position and do nothing. It's better not to.
So you're agreeing with Senator Pugeni. You're agreeing with Senator Pugeni that you may need someone like the current PV Span. Do you agree with him?
Somebody like who?
Did I say PV Span, right?
Swanda.
Yes.
My real opinion is really that if it was my opinion, if I was to advise the President Mnangagwa, I would say, President Mnangagwa, there is no need to appoint anybody anymore to that position. But if he is under pressure from the other side, let's say the ZAPU people, if they are really, if the ZAPU, this unit accord is really being implemented, of which I don't see that it is being implemented. I think it's just a place holding. There's no, it was swallowed really by ZANU. But if they want to sort of appease them, they would find somebody who is not Swanda. I don't know if Swanda is really shown. Are you talking about the army command, the general?
Correct.
So I don't think he's really somebody from ZAPU. Is he from ZAPU? Yes. I think he's got a position already of being the commander of the armed forces. So that Chiwenga left for him. So he should be content with that position and leave that position of vice president to somebody else. Because then if he is to take that position, it means then he will have to resign. Or they must bring in some fresh blood, young people, somebody young, but who won't be threatening, who won't threaten President Mnangagwa's authority.
Okay, Eugene, I know you've been wanting to make an input here.
Yeah, like the input I want to make is because, like I said earlier on, I mean, I'm sure they have protocol, but if the unity movement stipulates there's no need to have one, it's a huge saving to Zimbabwe. Why have all these people in parliament? I mean, why have this person appointed an additional person? On the other hand, this was a good opportunity of bringing someone that's not military. I know it's military, but everyone talks about dialogue. They all want to have this openness, bringing in the ordinary people. There's a golden opportunity for the country to bring someone, like he mentioned, maybe a young person, but just someone from a different walk of life. That can be part of it. It will just open up another field for the party, not coming from the same area all the time, or from the same how can I say selection of people. That's just my opinion. It's just
I think let's go to Senator Pugen and let him answer on the fact of if Dr. Kupe was to be offered this position, would she accept it?
I was going to be surprised if he didn't play some mischief, Kambakwe. So it would not have been a Kambakwe if he played some mischief. But let me tell you my approach to these things. I have not canvassed this with her. We were supposed to meet today, but we didn't get the opportunity. I don't even think we would have spoken about it even if we met. But I must say to you, Mina, this is my approach as Kalpani. When a president approaches you to do a job for a country, in this case, the country which is Zimbabwe, the most honorable thing to do is to be of service to the country. It's a different thing when we are being invited to join a political party, like we saw with Senator Lillian Timvoice. That's a complete different thing altogether. But if you are appointed to serve a government, you are serving the people of Zimbabwe, unless if it's a government that came through by force, which is an unelected government, that would be a different case altogether. So if I've got this pie in the sky which you are talking about, which will never happen in any event, if HE was to come to her and she came to me for advice, I'll say it's a good opportunity again to finish the unfinished work of the GNU. Remember, she served as a deputy prime minister, and I've said her achievements in this very same platform. I can go through them again if you don't mind. I mean, she really changed the socio-economic conditions of our people, because all all that cluster of socio-economic was under her. It was under her portfolio. And people talk about how good the GNU days were. And they were good because it was Dr. Kupe who was making sure that all those portfolios did serve the people of Zimbabwe.
Okay. I think we have covered most of the important issues here. So let's now go clockwise. Let's start with Eugene. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
Yeah, no, I don't think you can see me. It looks like I'm off camera or something. I don't know why.
Okay,
can you hear me?
You can just turn on your camera.
Yeah, but we can hear you. I'm sure you can go ahead.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay, there we go. I don't know what happened. Yeah, my only statement is that I heard what Kalapani had to say. At the moment, it's not a government of national unity, so I can't see anyone else outside the ruling party coming in there till maybe till a government of national unity is put together again, like they did in, I think it was 2008 or 2009. I'm speaking under correction here, but it wouldn't be advisable. So or next election, when the next election comes up. So that's my take on it. It has to come from the ruling side till the next election. That's the only thing I have to say. Nothing else.
Okay, that's very interesting. You are saying this cannot change the composition of the presidium. Okay, and then Isaac, for yourself?
Yes, I was quite eager to come in onto this issue because if Dr. Kupe, to answer that specific question directly, if Dr. Kupe was given that opportunity, or the President Mnangagwa was to offer that opportunity to Dr. Kupe, she would be a fool not to accept that position. Because that is an opportunity of a lifetime. She should accept it without any reservations. Accept that one, but persuade the president to allow her to come in with all her advisors, the intelligent ones like Senator Pugeni, to come in and advise her so that she can bring some, new ideas that can revitalize the government. I don't know, the next election, I don't know which year it is. The remaining years, she could then be sitting with the General Chiwenga and Mnangagwa on the same table and saying, guys, this is where you are. Because if she comes in with the new advisors, young advisors who are intelligent, they can come in and say, you guys, you liberated us from Mugabe, but this is the things that you are failing. Can we try to do this? Can we try to repair all the roads? Can we try to build new houses? Can we try to create new opportunities? Can all workers at Cisco still be paid? Can we do, can we bring in technocrats? Can we, try to do, development in our country? They can, they can talk to them directly. She can use those advisors to give her that advice, and then she would, speak that advice to the president and to General Chiwenga in their cabinet meeting, and they can, and perhaps during the remaining years before the next election, we can see some movement in that direction, since President Mnangagwa claimed that he's a listening president. So then perhaps, definitely, if, the way she speaks, because she's quite patriotic, Dr. Kupe is patriotic, because we don't need to be in election mode all the time. What we need is to talk unity of Zimbabweans, and then let's move our country forward. Let's not be political all the time. And if she comes in and says, President, we want to unite and work together as Zimbabweans, and this is what we need to do in dialogue, this is how you are failing. In this area, this is how we think you are failing. Why don't you try to do things this way, just for a trial? And if it fails, you can say, I did try this, but it didn't succeed. So those advisors that would have come with her would give her that wise advice. And even if the next election comes, and she still want to work with her political party, which is the MDCT, she can say, I know she's accused of being selling out to ZANU-PF for this one. She can tell them, listen, guys, I was there in order to get experience, government's experience. Now I know I got inside information. So, guys, I didn't sell out. I joined this government because I was trying to save the nation, not political affiliations or side shows. I was trying to get the inside information, try to see how I can advise the president, and this is what I managed to achieve. So now I have some experience. So if there's another election, she can say I've got experience, a government's experience from the GNU, and from this time now when I was vice president. So only a fool, even if you, Mr. Gambakwe, were to be offered that opportunity, I would advise you to take it. Grab it with the two hands, don't throw it away. Zimbabwe does not belong to President Mnangagwa, it belongs to all of us. So all of us, we need all our hands on the deck to work together, do what you have done, what you can do, and say, guys, this is what I can do. Whether it fails or it succeeds, it doesn't matter. But you can say, guys, I have tried. And Dr. Kupe can say, I did try. This is what I tried. And she will be listening as well from the advice.
All right, I hear you, Isaac, and I take Eugene's point that this should not be used as an opportunity to bring about change of the presidium. But I hear the point that you're making, that this would be a good thing. Mr. Pogen, I'm going to give you the last word. There has been developments in the MTC alliance where Senator Lillian Timvias and Honorable Chebundo have moved to ZANU-PF. What is your comment on that? Is this something that you would consider as a senator? And also, is this something that is welcomed in the MDCT?
Okay, yeah. Chebundo was with us in the MDCT, in the standing committee. Actually wrote us, as his pictures were being posted all over, he actually wrote us a letter saying, a note kind of like saying, I've decided to join ZANU-PF, you know, within the standing committee chat group.
So I can't hear you. I don't know what's happened with the volume.
Okay, I can hear him.
Okay.
All right. So I'm saying Chebundo was with us, and as his pictures were being posted all over, standing with HE and his deputy, he did send us a note in the standing committee chat group to say, I've decided to go and join ZANU. So he was not with the alliance, he was with us. And then Senator Lillian Timvias, you would have seen reports few weeks ago, almost a month now, saying there was a fallout there. Now, I want to caution Zimbabweans, especially if indeed we want to remove ZANU. If you want to remove ZANU, you are not going to think that the opposition is dead because of these two people which left. If you want to test this Kambakwe, you can ask Mayor Kambakwe this evening if she knows those two names. You can just ask her that.
Okay.
Other people as well, if they know those people, any Zimbabweans, you'll find that very few people know them. So I am cautioning people against writing off the opposition. It's a sad day when we lose even one person. You know, I come from a Christian background, so we say there's rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents. And that our Father in heaven would leave 99. In other words, would leave all the righteous people and go after one who is lost. So I'm simply saying it's a sad day in the opposition politics that we lost those two. I saw pictures again that Senator Tim Vance took about 15 of the provincial, not provincial, I think it's district executive from Zishabane with the to ZANU-PF. So yes, it's sad. It's a dent in the opposition, but I'm not sure if it's a dent that will influence the 2023 elections. Write us off as opposition at your own peril. Because if you want to get lessons from history, in 2018, on the 18th of April, Chamisa was celebrating the independence together with ZANU-PF. He was seated there with HE and Vice President General and all those people. He then, after that independence, beginning of May and whatsoever, they fell out spectacularly so. And you would have seen how competitive he was in that contest. He actually did far better than his own party. So I'm cautioning against those who write off opposition quite so early. They don't write us off this early. If anything, let that motivate you to mobilize more people in our camp so that we work harder. We need to remove ZANU come 2023. It's a duty. It's a national service. We must do it because you just have to look at what happened in the GNU. Look at how our GDP rose. Look at the standard of living. And then when they came back after the 2013 election, everything went down again. So just on those bases, you realize that the common denominator when it comes to the suffering of our people is ZANU-PF. And for that reason, and many others, but even for that reason, if that was the only reason, they just have to go.
Right. I think we've talked a lot and we've covered a lot of topics. We've covered the resignation of the former Vice President, Kembo Mohadi, and all of you gents have put in a lot of good points on whether he should have resigned or not. I think Mr. Pogen agreed with Eugene that maybe he should have taken a leave of absence. And then Mr. Isaac Muchegwa, you said that that was an admission. But by resigning, he was admitting that he did something wrong. And then we also looked at the replacements, who's going to replace. And obviously, Eugene said, this is not the time to be putting in anyone from outside the main ruling party. And Senator Kalpani Puken said, maybe it is better to put someone like P.V. Sibanda, who is someone who could make a difference. Whereas Mr. Muchegwa said that it may be better to bring in a member of the opposition like Dr. Thokozani Kupe, who can bring in different ideas. I think we've covered this very, very well, and we would like to ask everyone who's watching to put their comments in the comment section. Gents, I think we've covered this. We've been talking for more than 40 minutes. Is there anyone else who wants to say a last thing before we say goodbye? Right, I think...
Yes, I do want to say something, especially about the opposition. And yes, it is a good point that the opposition should not be written off. But the point that I sort of I understand and I agree that ZANU-PF need to be removed. But it is obvious that nobody in Zimbabwe is capable of removing ZANU-PF. We are all cowards. If I like to put it this way, we are all cowards. We can't remove ZANU-PF. If one gun is just shot into the air, we all disperse and run away. So the better, I think if you can't beat them, infiltrate them. And maybe like Jonathan Moyo, even though I'm not a fan of Jonathan Moyo, try to change them from within. replace their ideas with a new ideology. If you can, I don't think we actually need any sort of elections anymore in Zimbabwe, because nobody wants to win. Nobody wants to lose, sorry to say. Nobody wants to lose. So we just need unity as Zimbabweans to come up together, because we are not going to remove ZANU-PF. We want to remove ZANU-PF, but by the way we are going, especially our opposition representatives who are fighting each other like cats and dogs, it is becoming difficult for us to find somebody who can replace ZANU-PF. So it is better for us maybe to negotiate and have an agreement that ZANU-PF will bring their people, the opposition will bring their people, technocrats, people who can add value to our country, add value to the governance of our country. And then those parties will have to decide themselves who they want to forward as their representative of that particular party. Civil society will have to bring their own people who can represent the civil society. Because look at the MDC itself. There's an election. There's need for them to replace Dr. Richard Tsvangirai, but no, they don't do things properly. For somebody as educated as my brother Chamisa, imagine if he was to get back into power, if he was going to become the president, with his knowledge of being a lawyer and an advocate. It means that you simply postpone elections until the next coming of Christ. And look at now what is happening to my brother, Mr. Monjora. It looks like, look at how they are fighting BT, how Mr. BT was doing. All the people that we were looking forward up to, they are, selfish. When they think about themselves, they think about, positions, instead of thinking about building the country. So nobody wants to lose. So if nobody wants to lose, elections are useless, especially in Zimbabwe. So therefore, let's just have an agreement that each party will forward its candidates, and then we have a big parliament like that one of Kenya, because Kenya has got the biggest parliament, and I'm told that their parliamentarians are paid better than any other country, even in America. So we have all those people in our parliament, but people who have got a CV, who have got credentials, who have got a value to bring. And the anybody doesn't have value, we kick them out. We say they are not, we just canvass these political parties that we support, and we put forward our ideas to them, and then they take forward what they have. Like now, the current parliament that we have, the senators that we have, like Senator Kalipani, the majority of the other Makantarias, the other public like us, we will just air our views to Senator Kalipani. Another one will go to Mamombe and issue their ideas to Mamombe. And then in their party, they will come up with their candidates. And Senator will take my view and the view of other people who is sympathetic to him. And Senator Mamombe, I don't know if she's still senator or MP, she will take that views. And then when there is this meeting of the party presenting its own candidates, they will then say, according to the masses there that I represent as the Senate, we only want technocrats, somebody, not because he's been related to Chamisa or related to Dr. Kupe or related to Maduku. We just somebody who has got a CV, a good track record, who has got some practical thing to bring on the table. Then we unite as Zimbabweans from all civil society, they bring their own people, and then Zimbabwe lawyers for human rights, let them give us something. Somebody from the churches, let them give us somebody. And then let's put our hands on the deck, and then let's say, allocate the ministries. BT is going to get his own, so he's going to be eating, so he's not going to be kicking and screaming, and these other guys are going to get their own. You see, and then we say, let us now work to develop our country. This greediness out of the window. Then maybe we can see something, because these elections, I can guarantee you, nobody wants to lose. So if the MDC can hold their transparent elections within the MDC, even let's say Dr. Cooper is out of that MDC alliance, do you think they can replace Chamisa if they want to run elections? They will kick all the other candidates for wanting to, just for saying, I want to compete against Chamisa. That person will be victimized. There will be political violence within the MDC alliance.
Right. I think I hear you, Isaac. And this is a big topic for, I think, the next session that we're going to have. So I think let us wrap it up. Mr. Pugeni, are you happy with the comments? Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I'm fine. I agree with you. I would love to attend to Isaac, but not now. We've gone over 50 minutes now, so I'll attend to it sometime.
Okay, Eugene?
Yeah, I was listening to what he's saying, you know, but I don't want to mention names, but what is very disturbing in the political space in Zimbabwe is that people must know that they have the power to put the people in place. And if the person doesn't obey the values, doesn't represent the values what the country is about, or the party, whatever you want to say, and adhere to the principles and to the law, because no one is above the law, then that person must be removed. The politician or the leader is a tool of the person, or the voice of the ordinary people out there, and that person is representing the Zimbabweans, and that's a concern for me, that they allow the greedy or the hungry people or the power hungry lot to take over, because then it becomes more like a mafia type thing, like a gangster, which is wrong. They need to put people in place that holds the values of the organization or the country. For every Zimbabwe, irrespective what the Zimbabwe, whether it's male or female, is irrelevant. Whether they come from A, B, C, D tribe, irrelevant. Every Zimbabwe is important to Zimbabwe, and they have the right. And the politician that wears that hat, that serves every Zimbabwe, even the opposition, you must look after that person too. Whether you beat him in an election, after that you must look after that person too, because you are there to serve every Zimbabwean. No one must be left out. And a good politician will talk about facts, not yes. I listened to a lot of things in the past. I followed quite a lot of some speeches of some of the politicians, but they don't stick to the facts. And when you don't stick to the facts of what's happening, you actually create a bad cancer in the organization. And we can support people, good people.
Right. I'm very happy with the discussion that we've had. And unfortunately, I have to bring this to an end. Thank you very much, Jens, for joining me and for joining Senator Khalipani Pugeni tonight, Mr. Isaac Muchegwa, and Mr. Eugene Brand. Thank you very much, Jens, and talk again very, very soon.
Okay. Right up.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Gambako.